Hi everyone, Rebecca here for Lottie Loves Paper. Today I'm using the Cocoa Vanilla Studios Joyful collection to create a mini book. So I'm using the Advent paper. You can see me there scoring vertical lines and then cutting horizontal lines on that piece of paper to get one long strip with the numbers in order but attached. So once I have cut them apart, I will sew the edges together off camera so to make it into one long strip, just like that. It's like a concertina strip. So I'm just concertina folding a cardstock strip to use as a spine for my book, and then I'll insert each of those little zigzags into the gap at the back of my strip of pattern paper numbers and attach that all together using some sewing. So attaching my pattern paper to my cardstock spine as I have has created almost like a little paper pocket, a little loop in the paper, and I want to sew up the bottom part of those little pockets so that I can slot things in and they won't fall out at the bottom. So there you can see that I've just done some machine stitching at the bottom to create lots of little pockets in my book, and now I'm measuring up for a cover for my book. So my cardstock cover for my mini book will be 6 inches in diameter by 2.5 inches in height. Obviously I will have some score lines on that just to be able to wrap the cardstock around my book. So the spine measures 1 inch right in the centre of that piece of cardstock, which obviously leaves the front and back cover at So now I'm going to cover that white cardstock with some of this Magic Moments paper. It's got these gorgeous little cute little images in little circular frames, and I really wanted to have the Christmas tree at the very centre of my front cover, so I just manipulate where that is going to sit on my cardstock cover to make sure that it's in the centre. Just along with the cardstock so that it doesn't buckle or warp, and just giving that a really good press down with my rolling tool. What's that called? A brayer. Yeah, and then trimming off the excess. So now I'm going to start adding my pages into my cover, giving everything a really good stick down. Ideally I would have used Redline high adhesive tape, but I've run out, so I've just used my ordinary tape roller, but I've used plenty of it, giving everything a really good press so that everything's well stuck down. Now I'm going to use the rest of that Magic Moments pattern paper just on the B side with the candy canes, just to cover up the seam, the join between those two pieces of white cardstock from the spine and the inside of the cover. So I'm using the remainder of that strip that I've cut off to create the spine. I'm going to use the rest of that just to create 3 little tags that are going to sit in my little pockets inside my book. I'm just using my tag punch to create those. So I found some baker's twine in my stash, which I've used to just create some little threads through my tags. I actually changed that out. I thought it was just too much of it once I put them in, so I actually do swap that out for just some plain white thread later on in the video. So I fancied creating some little beads to hang on the side of my mini book, and I've created those using strips of paper cut into a wedge shape, almost like a really wide triangle. I've cut across the whole width of the paper at an angle to get that shape, and then I just rolled it in on itself with a piece of thread in the centre. So because my little mini book is quite small, I needed a small word for the front cover, and on my gold sheet of puffy title stickers there's the word joyful, which I just thought was perfect really. It's just such a joyful day, Christmas Eve, isn't it? I probably prefer Christmas Eve to Christmas Day actually. So yeah, I've used the word joyful on the front and kept it quite small. I have glued the letters on to the front of the book just because the cover is going to be opening and closing quite a lot, and I wanted the title to stay put. So I have glued them. I've stamped a little bit of journaling just about the photos, and I'm going to stick that on the inside of the front cover just to explain what the photos are of. And then I've created two little pieces of like tag tabs that I'm going to stick on the inside of the front covers. I should have actually added those before I added my candy cane pieces into the inside cover, but I've added those afterwards and glued them into place, and they will form a closure with a thread tie. So all I'm doing now is just going through and adding a little few pieces of the ephemera just to add interest on those corners, so that when the book is closed you'll see some interesting shapes. So I've added some leaf shapes and a couple of tabs and tags just to get a bit of interest, and you'll see I've attached my little beads on their string. I found one tassel that sort of suited when I opened my sewing supplies. I found a little pale blue tassel, so I've attached that as well with my little beads on my twine, and just showing you my book there. Okay, so if you've got this far, thank you so much for watching. I know this is quite a long video, but obviously, you know, mini book is quite in depth. It's the first one I've made. I think I've made a mini album with a little ring bound sides before, but it's the first time I've made, you know, a spine and sort of threaded everything all together. And I'm really pleased with how this came out. I think it's so cute, and I'm looking forward to adding a photo this year and next. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.